Greetings and salutations, sailors. I am your Captain Sean, and we are getting aboard our boat so we can sail into oblivion, because today we gotta talk about a story out of Maryland. Obviously, it has to do with Baltimore, Maryland, and the adjoining areas, and how the store owners are closing their businesses, and they're saying directly things that I told you before, that the crime is driving them out of business. So once again, we're doing a recap on how poverty is driven by crime, not the other way around, because I think it is important for me to highlight this point a billion times until you're sick of it, and then you get sick of me, and then you make me cry by leaving me in the middle of the night, even though I felt like we built a connection. Now, with that being said, I just want to say I appreciate so much all the kind comments that you're sending me from my appearance/debate versus Emma Vigeland on Tim Pool's show Culture War. Wow. I know you guys think I did amazing on that show, and I just never expected all the kind words that you were going to direct in my direction. And although I am shooting this video before that even aired, and I am in fact shooting this video before I actually go out to film that whole segment, that debate with Emma Vigeland, I just want to say from the future Sean probably is going to appreciate your reaction, even though, again, it's not filmed yet, and I'm just shooting myself out through the weekend, so that way I could have videos for you while I travel, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's get into the story. Also, thanks to the members, actualjusticewarrior.com/join, whatever, let's go.
It surprises me.
For Jim Buckingham, there's a list.
Car break-ins, muggings, just petty theft.
His concern over crime budding at the business where he works, the flower shop on Eager Street in Mount Vernon.
When I moved to Mount Vernon, I moved here because I thought it was a safe neighborhood.
Now look, I'm not in favor of stereotypes. In fact, I, Sean Fitzgerald, owner and content creator of the Actual Justice Warrior, this YouTube channel that you're watching right now, have absolutely no commentary about this man, with the voice that he actually has, owning a flower shop. I have nothing to say about it. There is nothing about the orientation of this segment that interests me, and I will not be saying this because I'm not saying this. But here's the thing, I am saying something, and you might be hearing what I'm saying, and this might be a stereotype that honestly I was not expecting to see in the local news, but credit to this guy for at least trying to operate a business. No further commentary. You know what? Delete your mean comments right now. It's June, people. It's June. It's the month of Pride. It's June. Show some respect.
And I haven't personally seen a lot of it, but every time I hear about it, I'm so surprised that it happens because it's such a cute neighborhood.
According to recent data from police, while overall crime in the Central District, which includes Mount Vernon, is down 17% as of May this year, property crimes are up 12%, with larceny, theft of personal property, up 30% as of May 2023.
So the local news segment informs us that crime overall is down in this area, which I think is a good thing. Anytime you can get crime to go down, I'm in favor of that. But he says that theft and larceny and theft of personal property are actually up 12%, and that is a significant increase and something to be concerned about.
Compared to the same time last year.
It's disappointing because it makes you not feel safe or comfortable in your neighborhood.
Also, while you guys were all distracted by this man's voice and the fact that he has that voice, calls the neighborhood that he lives in a cute neighborhood, and owns a flower shop, you missed the absolute genius that is hiding behind that high-pitched tone. This guy runs a flower shop in Baltimore. He sells flowers in a city with one of the highest murder rates in the United States of America. Top 3 almost every year, and number 1 in the country oftentimes. Remember, he sells flowers in a city where people be pushing up daisies a lot more on average than you would normally expect.
A look at crime numbers in the community comes as a neighborhood landmark prepares to shut down. Eddie's, across the street from the flower shop, set to close permanently at the end of the month.
So Eddie's is actually the store that's going to close, and obviously this is going to have a ripple effect on the rest of the neighborhood, but I do want to point out that I absolutely love the look of this store. It's so classic. It looks like it's from a black and white photo. Like if I change this still image to black and white, you will think it's something historical and whatnot. and it's really unfortunate that this staple in the community can no longer operate. But when you have prosecutors that refuse to do their job, first Marilyn Mosby, now Ivan Bates, a neutered police force, and all the other problems Baltimore has,
The owner telling Fox 45 News Monday crime is a driving force behind his decision to close his business.
this is to be expected. However, the exit message from the owner of Eddie's is something that I'm going to have to read for you because it's absolutely crucial to understand what's going on, because the owner of Eddie's, who I'm going to assume is named Eddie, makes no bones about what's going on. So this is the notice that is posted on the bulletin board of the Eddies of Mount Vernon, and it reads as follows. Due to an increase in theft, we are no longer able to accommodate customers using their personal bags for shopping. Please only use carts and baskets. All items will be bagged at the register at the time of purchase. Any bags found being used are subjected to being checked. Thank you for your understanding and sorry for your inconvenience. So obviously this notice is a step among many rungs on the ladder that led this store to close, but it just shows you how crazy that this neighborhood with the flower shop across the street, this nice looking grocery store, obviously it's a Mount Vernon section of central Baltimore, so it's meant to draw in some upper echelon version of customers than you would normally expect when your brain thinks of Baltimore. Can't even have these people who often like to show up with their totes, using their totes due to the fact that they're just being robbed and they're losing a lot of money to theft, but the crime actually gets significantly worse than that theft.
We had 2 knives pulled on us in the last year trying to stop shoplifters. And I don't want to expose my family nor my employees to that.
So this is Dennis Zorn, who's the owner of Eddie's. Unfortunately, he is not in fact named Eddie, and as he's described in recent history when confronting shoplifters, supposedly not dangerous at all Aladdins that are just stealing bread for their family that wouldn't hurt a fly, they were confronted with knives, so they were potentially at risk of being stabbed, and he doesn't want to expose his employees to that. He doesn't want to expose his family to that. Obviously, the family is integrated in the business, and honestly, he doesn't want to be killed. I'm sure he has no problems with the flower shop guy across the street, but in reality, in actuality, he doesn't want his family to be buying flowers from that guy for this specific occasion. He's not into it.
Buckingham recalls when a thief struck at his flower shop 4 years ago.
Said, give me all the money in your register, and then got out a gun.
Surveillance cameras captured images of the suspect who put a gun to the owner's back, then forced the 77-year-old owner and another staffer into a rear closet.
So the way this guy tells the story and how excited he is makes me laugh, but obviously this is a serious scenario. On top of that, I just want to point out that they have the surveillance footage. You guys saw it for yourselves, and for those of you who are listening via my podcasting platforms, you obviously need this described to you, and the suspect is clearly exactly what you would expect by the crime statistics in the city of Baltimore, and of course, what I'm talking about is that he is in fact wearing glasses. A lot of you get on my case occasionally for not highlighting patterns appropriately, but obviously people who wear glasses can't see very well, so he couldn't see between right and wrong, so because of his disability, he had to force these elderly women into the back of the store at gunpoint in order to rob them for the cash that they have at this flower shop. He also stole a bunch of tulips and 3 dozen roses because, you know, he had to do something nice for the woman in his life. And even though that's not reported anywhere, and you might think I made that up, I assure you it's 100% true. But as we can see, the man with the glasses has a serious problem seeing right from wrong. And honestly, the city of Baltimore should really do something about people with poor vision in the city of Baltimore and their propensity to commit a disproportionate amount of the armed robberies.
I was petrified. I was never so frightened in my life.
Now look, I'm not trying to lean into stereotypes or anything like that. I'm not trying to say anything, but what I will say, what I will point out is that if you were to cast somebody to be the owner of a flower shop in a movie, a long-standing flower shop in a movie, it would be somebody who looks exactly like this woman. and sounds exactly like her, and probably is in fact her. In fact, I don't even believe that this news segment interviewed the real owner of this flower shop, because this woman is so dead on for the person to be the owner of a flower shop. It's kind of wild.
The thief got away, hopped a city bus with 2 purses and money from the cash drawer.
You know, you have a crime problem when after they commit a robbery, an armed robbery against 2 women, and the guy has a bunch of purses in his hand, he feels perfectly comfortable waiting at a bus stop in order to get on the bus, in order to be dropped off vaguely in the location of where he wants to go next. The criminals aren't even setting up getaway cars. In fact, we just did a story about these kids that got under a fence into an apartment complex. They had tools and whatnot, and they efficiently broke into 37 cars because they had it well planned out, likely stole a car as their getaway car, and this guy didn't even bother with any of that. He just hopped a bus. He robbed these old ladies at gunpoint in a flower shop, including this woman who is an actress, a stand-in for the woman that was actually robbed in the surveillance video. Obviously, that's in fact true. And then he casually waited for the bus for probably 45 minutes because, as somebody who lives in a major metropolitan area, I could tell you, those bus schedules absolutely trash, and Baltimore is run way worse than New York City.
Chilling moments in the historic community with concerns about crime then and now.
That's always so scary because I never expected it to happen in Mount Vernon.
Look, I like this guy. I don't care what any of you say in the comments, you rude people. It's the month of June. Show some respect, because he says hilarious and ridiculous things, and the one thing I try to give him credit for being a secret genius was owning a flower shop in Baltimore due to the high homicide rate, and it turns out he's not even the owner, but I still like him because he says ridiculous things like that. He said, "I never expected it to happen in Mount Vernon," as we heard that this robbery happened in Mount Vernon in this specific flower shop 4 years ago, and then we hear about all the various instances that are happening at the grocery store across the street, and it's gotten to the point where they had to enforce a no bags policy and all these other policies, but this guy's still like, you know, I never expected it to happen here. I never would have thought that after witnessing all of these crimes firsthand and having crimes committed on the premises. In fact, if you look at the surveillance video, I'm standing in the spot where the armed criminal pointed the gun at my boss and then took her purse and then forced her into a back room, that it would happen here. I can't imagine that this thing that consistently happens here, right here in this specific spot, would happen here. I gotta have love for somebody who's that optimistic and willfully blind, because honestly, it's like he's like a puppy dog in kind of a way. Like, you know, you kind of know that he might not be the sharpest pencil in the pencil box, but you still appreciate him for showing up with a sunny disposition and some optimism. And again, it's June, people. It's June. Show some respect. It's June.
Chilling moments in the historic community with concerns about crime then and now.
That's always so scary because I never expected it to happen in Mount Vernon.
By the way, and I'm completely not making this up, I actually enhanced this image like you see in the movies, and you know what I noticed? Right after he says, "I can't believe it could happen here," there's actually crime scene tape in the frame, and you could notice it. It's subtle if you pay attention. So then I enhanced it a little bit further. And again, it might be a little bit too imperceptible to you guys, so I'll describe it to you. You can see O.J. Simpson also in frame. So then I reversed the spectrometer of the image and I found Ghostface. So yes, all of that is happening right there in that flower shop, right next to him.
Buckingham says part of what he does to help keep safe when he's out walking about is travel in numbers. He says travel in a group. He says there's safety in numbers.
Also, after hearing that he travels in numbers for safety, I have a very amusing vision in my brain parts of this guy traveling around with people with the same kind of disposition as him in a large group in order to run the streets of Baltimore and protect themselves from armed, glasses-wearing criminals that are running amok and quite literally killed somebody in the very spot that he's standing in. I mean, when this guy rented his apartment, they still had bloodstains from the last person who was killed in a drug hit, and he was like, you know, I can't even imagine this happening here. How could it possibly happen here? Oh, you have a Ring surveillance video of this homicide that occurred exactly where my bed was, and that's where the previous person's bed was. I can't imagine it at all whatsoever. I'm not even going to clean up these bloody footprints of the guy running for safety after he was shot in his own apartment, because I can't imagine it happening here, and I'm going to travel in numbers for safety.
Keith, thank you. Well, a new survey from Wallet Hub ranks Baltimore among the worst-run cities in America. It ranks 132 on a list of 149 cities. The research examined several factors, including education and safety. The survey lists Baltimore as tied for the highest violent crime, right with Memphis, St. Louis, Detroit, Little Rock, Arkansas.
So again, I'm going to recommend you watch this segment in its entirety because they go into a Wallet Hub survey about how Baltimore is one of the worst run cities in the entire country, as if you needed a scientific breakdown of that fact. But it is important for you to know that it is tied with a bunch of other cities that you should be familiar with because we've talked about them on this channel, for among the most violent cities in the United States of America as well. And again, when shown this information, when given an advance copy of this article, this guy said as he was standing right next to a corpse, he can't imagine any of the violence happening here. How could he possibly imagine it? It's not like we have dedicated series that were hits like The Wire that have been documenting this phenomena in Baltimore for decades in this country. Can't imagine it, don't know about it. Again, watch the full segment. It is very interesting. They have a great story in the beginning, and they close it out with this interesting data, and that's where I'm going to leave it for you guys right here. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on my social media. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about some absolute madness in Baltimore. Till next time.